From Tobacco Republic in Loomis, California, the Loomis Cigar Cartel presents Beyond the Humidor, a cigar podcast for the rest of us. Well, look who I have here. The two most intelligent people on our podcast are here today.
You're going to fire Scott up. Don't do that.
I know, isn't it great? So it's Greg Perry here, one of the hosts of Beyond the Humidor, and I am joined by the estimable camera gorilla, a.k.a. Anthony.
Hello.
So this is actually just a sound check to see how well this is going to work. Ron has graciously allowed us to record in the shop, and it's time to check a sound check. Check one.
I can hear the echo, but that's because we're in the room. It's not going to be until after we're done that we can tell. Really.
Yeah, I know. That's going to be the sad part. Hopefully there's no echo, but we will have to see how that works out.
And if there is, get over it. This is just a test. If you're seeing this, it's a bonus, and you should be thankful.
I mean, it could be a bonus.
You know, I'll be honest. I'm really just trying to sit here and not look like fucking Jabba the Hutt in this tan T-shirt. Watikata solo. You know, just, I can see myself in the door. I'm not loving that.
I know. Really, you do realize I have the same physique, right?
I am painfully aware.
I'll be the fat Han Solo. But Jabba, I promise, I've got a job. I'll pay you in a week.
There you go.
So got to get this princess from Alderaan. Oh, wait.
So on the off chance, formerly of Alderaan, on the off chance that we do release this as a bonus little something, what do we want to chat about?
I think we should continue on our conversation from last night, because that was kind of fun.
It was. So we had several. Would you like to specify one?
Well, first of all, I mean, officially, it's what we're smoking. So what did you decide out of that bag of tricks you got over there?
I came into the shop yesterday and elected to ask the venerable tobacconist / your brother for 3 creamy, delightful Lanceros. I can't remember what he gave me. I think it was something.
So there's that Gran Habano number 1.
I'm smoking the Gran Habano number 1. I have the Son Real. And then he gave me, I know I've smoked their stuff before, and I just can't remember what company the label is. White label, black accents, black lettering. It's like 3 letters, which I know narrows it down to like 57 cigars.
Yeah, just hand me the bag, because I don't know.
I smoked it last night. It's gone.
Oh, okay.
So I don't remember what it was. I can show you when we get into the humidor.
Yes.
But yeah, whatever it was excellent.
I bet it was. Now, that Son Real is really interesting, because I don't think those are produced anymore. And they have what they have here, especially in that Lancero. I really like it.
I should probably smoke it and see if I want to get more then.
I would if I were you. So I have decided, so you're smoking the Gran Habano number 1, right?
Yes. Which
is a beautiful, creamy Connecticut with some nice spice to it. I am smoking an unbanded, as you can well see. It is the Rocky Patel Edge Sumatra, and you're right, I had to turn my ears up too, because it was the same thing. Mm-hmm. But I'm smoking the Rocky Patel Edge Sumatra, and the Edge line is a budget-friendly cigar, but yeah, I know you smoke them, and they're just, it's a great line. There's a Corojo, Habano, Maduro, and a Sumatra, and they're just great cigars.
They're all fantastic.
Yeah. I just happened
literally, I can honestly say I think maybe once I had a Rocky Patel, and I can't remember which one, that I was like, not exactly my wheelhouse, but still not bad.
Yeah.
Every other Rocky Patel cigar, fantastic.
Yeah. You're going to get once in a while one that just doesn't work for you. It's just the name of the game.
Hi, welcome back. Welcome back to the test episode, not, the Gorilla does audio viz tech.
Yes. Well, hello. You have to do these things because we have to know if it's going to work or not.
Mm-hmm. This is a potential interim solution between Larry's shop and
the new
future studio, because our studio space is also the
landing zone.
The landing zone for the shipments of material we make signs out of, and currently we're ordering a shit ton of material.
In the time I've known you guys, I've never seen it come in by the pallet load.
Yeah.
Ever.
It is both a blessing and a curse. So if we don't want to be doing Beyond the Humidor in a pallet fort of PVC plastic, we need to have a secondary location in the event that happens.
Can you imagine how hilarious that episode would be, though?
Put my dad on a throne of 24 by 24 Coro PVC.
Live from Larry's Pallet Fort, it's the Beyond the Humidor podcast with your hosts.
Mm-hmm. So let's continue our very long discussion, and half of you are about to click away, and that's okay. We accept this.
And those that half of you that click away, fuck you.
I am a very casual, and when I say casual, I mean fledgling, beginning lover of Star Trek. And I had the very weird reverse position of introducing Greg, the Star Trek fanatic, to a Star Trek show yesterday.
Yes.
So, Greg, you are a lover of the original TNG DS9, the old man Star Trek.
Well, yeah, let's say the original canon, the old series, Next Generation, DS9, and Voyager.
Of those four, what's your favorite and least favorite?
How about we put them in order? Okay, in order would be Deep Space Nine, Next Generation, the old series, and Voyager.
Voyager at the bottom. I figured.
Voyager's at the bottom. And it's not Voyager's bad. It's just Voyager was an experiment, I believe, into really a different way of thinking, because now there's no one else to interact with Starfleet-wise. It's just a ship of 100 and some odd crew in the Delta Quadrant, and every week it's the alien of the week.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, you did have some few old friends pop in, like Riker in an episode, Q, Barclay becomes a feature in season 7, but it really wasn't the norm that you're used to. And I mean, that's okay. It's good to be different.
So
and then there's the new abominations.
So hang on. Prior to our discussion of last night and the events that followed, what were your thoughts on post DS9 Star Trek?
Let's actually go post Voyager.
Post Voyager, because I forget Voyager was later than DS9.
I could not get into them. I watched a season and a half of Enterprise and fell away from it, which was the next after Voyager. And I have not been able to get into all the new stuff. Discovery, Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks, all those. I just couldn't get into them because it wasn't what I was used to.
With the exception, you did watch Picard.
I started to. I watched 2 episodes, and when you've got Romulan ninjas throwing knives instead of disruptors, I went, fuck no, and shut this shit off. And apparently, I have to get through season 1 because apparently from everything I've read and what I've been told by other viewers, season 2 and 3 are much better than season 1. But,
This is going to come up based on, again, things we've talked about. So that has changed your avoiding new Star Trek, has it not?
It has. And it was you that did that.
So a buddy of mine showed me, he would do this thing where if we were up late on a voice call and I was working on stuff at the shop, I would be on a voice call with him, and you can share your screen, and he'd occasionally play something. And it got to a period where I'd be working and I'd hear space, the final frontier. It's like he should put on a random episode of. He was going by like a fan guide of like the best episodes of TNG. So I saw a little bit. I saw maybe a third of the whole TNG run, maybe a quarter of the Voyager run.
I mean, that's if you're saying a third, that's a lot because you're talking 300.
Well, then
almost 327 episodes.
I've seen an eighth of TNG. Let me correct my math. I've seen like an eighth of TNG, but like the good ones. So like, I almost said "Manners Maketh Man." That's the Kingsman. Measure of a Man, Encounter at Farpoint, the pilot I really liked. Data Lore, just because it's goofy. All the Borg stuff with Locutus. So I hit like the highlights.
Right.
I know the characters well enough. I understand the show. Same with Voyager. I understand the premise. Janeway, Chakotay, 7 of 9. They're in Delta Quadrant. They're lost. Janeway's the badass prairie mom trying to keep her family alive while the Indians encircle them every week. Yeah, I get it.
That's a very accurate description.
And then my dad watched DS9 and TNG a little bit as well, so I kind of get the vibe of DS9. Weirdly enough, for those of you that don't know, my favorite show is MASH. I have a MASH podcast called Best Care Anywhere. Links are popping up on screen now.
I really
suggest
you listen to it.
It's me showing my buddy Ethan. We're both Eagle Scouts. He knows MASH but hasn't watched it religiously. I'm a MASH nut, so we're kind of going season by season. So go check that out if you're interested. But DS9 felt very MASH to me because it's DS9 is the camp. I think last night I compared Quark to Klinger.
Yep.
Otto is a combination of Burns and Winchester. Sisko is a psychotic commanding officer. It had this vibe of people together in a place going through a thing.
And then I would have to say Kira is probably Houlihan.
Probably, yeah.
If we're going to that comparison. But yeah. And then, of course, you don't really have an Alan Alda and a BJ.
Oh, God, is Bashir Radar?
No. O'Brien would be Radar.
O'Brien would be Radar. This has gotten off the rails, but essentially, he started to show me Star Trek, and eventually, one of the ones he started showing me, he showed me a little bit of Enterprise, which we didn't see much of Enterprise.
Good.
A little bit of DS9, which I was hooked on for the first 3 episodes, and spoiler alert, the badass Asian captain whose name escapes me, but her name is also badass, gets fucking murked by Klingons in like the 3rd or 4th episode, and it's all the main character's fault, which makes me kind of hate the main character because the captain seemed like she's going to be like a combination of like Kirk and Sisko and like Asian baddie. But then we started watching Strange New Worlds with the Enterprise under Captain Pike, with a lot of the original series characters, not actors, obviously, but characters and their adventures. And I started talking to Greg about kind of the synopsis of kind of the highlights of the show. And I convinced Greg to watch the first 3. I didn't convince him specifically to watch the first 3 episodes, but I convinced him to check it out, and he ended up watching the first 3
You convinced me to watch the pilot.
I convinced you to watch the pilot.
And it was an amazing pilot.
So, long story short, have I renewed Greg's faith in Star Trek?
Well, yes, and I'm actually Facebooking right now while we're doing this. But, well, hey, you got to tell the populace what we're doing, right?
This is true.
So you didn't renew my faith in all of the new stuff they've put out, but you did renew my faith in the series Strange New Worlds. The first episode, y'all need to go watch it. It's a moving episode. It's one of the things that Star Trek, MASH did this constantly. Star Trek does not do it constantly, but they do it at least several times a season, where they do an episode that will emotionally move you. I think it was a brilliant idea to bring that plot in for the very first pilot and really hook that audience with a post-apocalyptic prevention episode is the best way to describe it. And it was just great.
And it was very much a holding the mirror up to the audience, but not beating them over the head with it.
Yes.
It was very to allude to part of it. This was released in 2022, and Captain Pike has to essentially convince, without getting into too much detail, convince a planet not to go to war with itself by saying, hey, Earth did this, we fucked it up. Here's what our planet looked like when we started doing this. And they very tastefully showed clips from the early 2020s, both sides of the coin, so to speak. BLM protests, January 6th riots, very tastefully done in a way that, again, held the mirror up to you, the audience, without beating you over the head with it too much.
Yeah, I think that I would definitely agree with that. It was very well done, and I think that it just goes to show what they can do with something that Star Trek's always been able to do. As you say, they put the mirror up and make the audience think.
It's very clearly being made by people who love Star Trek.
Yes,
which is one of my big complaints about another space franchise that we won't get into. Is you can tell what parts of it are being made by people. You can tell what parts of it are being made by people who love the franchise, and you can tell what parts of it are being made by people who want cash,
aka Disney. The mouse.
We won't get down the Star Wars rabbit hole. We'll save that for another.
That's another episode.
That's another audio test episode.
But it was funny because in that first episode, there were several Easter eggs. If you guys are familiar...
Real quick, just for anyone who is maybe not super Trek affiliated, or maybe you are in Greg's shoes and haven't watched new Star Trek because anything new is scary to you, or you have misgivings, it is Christopher Pike pre the original series by, I don't know how much, you can look up the dates because Star Trek people are nerds, they've written this all down, but it's pre-Kirk, pre that, but it's still close enough to the original that Uhura, Spock, obviously...
it's Uhura and Spock are the only two you're really going to recognize, and then Pike if you're a loyal fan.
Yeah.
But the Easter eggs that were in that first episode, everybody knows, if you're a diehard Star Trek fan, you know what happens to Pike, and they freaking drop that in as a flash forward, and it was so artfully done. It was great.
And they make it part of his character arc for the show, where it's something that is on his mind. He's seen a flash of it, and now he's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, because Pike only shows up in one episode of the old series. Mm-hmm. So it really was well done, and it was like, and now it makes me curious because they never allude in the old series to what happens to Chris to put him in the chair, and they did. So, like I said, I'm not spoiling it. You need to go watch.
Yeah,
but
and as someone who has no idea what Greg's talking about, other than what I've seen from Strange New Worlds, I dig it. I don't think you need to have seen the original to enjoy Strange New Worlds, but you will appreciate it more if you have.
I agree. I definitely agree. And it's one of those where it does really come down. You're going to love it or you're going to hate it, because we were talking about this last night. Star Trek is known for pushing the envelope as far as first goes. The first interracial kiss ever put on television was the old series between Kirk and Uhura. The first lesbian kiss was on DS9 on film. Mm-hmm. And then some of the other series, the new series, and I don't care if I trigger you all, this is the way it is. Certain series like Discovery went way too woke.
Yeah. But you also had, I know I saw a TNG episode where Riker got interested in an alien lady, and she's from a race of aliens
androgynous aliens.
That are androgynous. They go back and forth. They stay one and then become the other, or don't. And it was a thing he had to address. And I think, if I remember correctly, he was ultimately like, I don't think I'm good with this. Or it came to a weird...
It came to a very weird conclusion. That is not in my top 5 episodes anywhere close to.
But it's still, even if it wasn't a good episode, they tried to talk about something.
They did, and they did try, and they do try, and it makes sense usually when they do.
And even, I don't know if you caught it, I think when Ortega's the Helms lady in Strange New Worlds, there are moments in the 3 episodes you watch that I don't know if you picked up on because they were so subtle. When Ortegas, in an episode, I don't know if you... no, you may not have seen this episode yet, but there's a moment where Ortegas is talking to Nurse Chapel, and she mentions, you got a date with your boyfriend while you're on shore leave? Oh, yeah. Is this going to be anything like that girl on Canterra 7? Like, it's just very casually thrown out. Like, she's dated both men and women. Or there's a part where the ship is attacked and a section is breached, and the security officer shouts, "We've lost one crew person." And it's just they don't like zoom pan on her like, we said crew person. We're so woke right now. It's like, it's in the universe of Star Trek. They don't give a shit about that kind of stuff. It's just natural.
Well, and you probably never caught this because you don't watch it religiously like I do.
Oh, that's soon about to change, I think.
But TNG... in the early seasons, 1 and 2 maybe, there's a freaking Asian dude running around in a skirt.
Oh, I've seen the Asian dude in the skirt.
Yeah. So, it's just something that they do. And does it offend or bother me? Absolutely not.
Because it's done,
it's done tastefully.
Yeah, it's done. There's a difference between letting it happen casually and forcing it. I think a MASH example would be, there's an episode where Hawkeye is trying to help arrange a legit marriage. It's not a scam or anything like that. They do that in other episodes. A legit marriage between a Korean lady and one of the soldiers of the MASH unit because they have had a child together.
Is that LIP?
LIP. Yep, season 2, episode something.
Can you tell I'm also a MASH nerd?
LIP is local indigenous personnel in military speak. And Hawkeye keeps avoiding this date with this nurse to arrange the marriage. And at the end of the episode, the nurse says, well, what kept you so long? He's like, oh, this private, well, he's marrying a local and, he wanted help with the paperwork so that he could bring them back and immigrate them to the United States. And she's like, well, is she a Korean? Yeah. It's like, oh, so you stood me up to, pardon my French, to hook up one of our guys in a gook. And Hawkeye's like, excuse me? And they make her say like a blatantly racist thing 4 lines in a row, and it's like, we get it. She's a bad person.
Yeah.
Whereas in later episodes, they'll have a character say or do something, and you'll just see kind of the main character's reactions of, oh, one of these people. And it's a lot more subtle.
Yeah. They did that in one of the episodes, and it was very tastefully done, where the colonel is putting black soldiers out in front of white soldiers to get them more points to rotate home. And the way they snare him into their little trap is so fucking awesome.
So good. But yeah, I'm glad that you're gonna see Strange New Worlds through. I'm glad that they're getting not only a 3rd season that comes out next year, but a 4th season in production.
Yes.
I will say this because it came up last night. Star Trek is allowed to be silly.
Yes, they are.
The example I always go to when people are like, this Star Trek did something too funny and goofy. Motherfucker, Q. My exhibit A is Q.
Not only that.
Q is allowed to exist. He is allowed to stand on the bridge of the Enterprise with a full mariachi band and poof a cigar into Picard's hand. Star Trek is allowed to do basically anything after that.
Well, let's even go further than that. Let's go back into the rabbit hole for that for just a second, okay? The episode, and I can't remember the title. I'm not as versed in the old series as I am in Next Generation, DS9, and Voyager, but it's basically they're dropped onto a planet. It's a vacation planet. And they've got Alice and the White Rabbit running around. They've got George Takei finding a .44 revolver. They've got the doctor... Not the doctor. One of the other guys imagines a Japanese Zero tries to strafe him. I mean, they did some seriously weird, silly, entertaining shit, even in the old series. I mean, the old series, to use a British term, hopefully you all know what this is camp to begin with. Mm-hmm. And they really ran with it. I mean, it was a very interesting way that they did that.
You can do camp in a way that is very annoying.
British do that all the time.
And you can do camp in a way that is very fun. You leave the end of the episode going, that was silly and fun, and yes, my very serious bridge crew just did a very silly thing, but I enjoyed it. And there are 2 episodes. One is a fan favorite of Strange New Worlds, and one is a very divisive. It is split right down the middle, 50-50. And I am curious for you to experience both. One is the crossover with the animated series Lower Decks, which as soon as I said animated Star Trek, a lot of people who are still here went, ooh, it's like, give it a shot.
But they've done animated before.
Mm-hmm. This is very much animated in the more current, like, adult cartoon style, where it's not raunchy, but it's called Lower Decks for a reason. You've seen the bridge crew doing their heroic thing. It's like, yeah, okay, like the example I gave Greg, it's literally all the ensigns going, where the fuck is the captain taking us? The planet of sentient meat-eating wildebeest? Why the fuck are we going there? Like, it's everything you would expect the non-coms of a Starfleet ship to be doing. Like, why the fuck are we the ones getting sent down to the acid rain planet? Why? Why the fuck is this happening? It's good in that way, but the crossover episode they do with Strange New Worlds in that episode is, I think, very well done. I think the voice actors did really well on camera. Spoiler, in live action, I'll let you guys see how that panned out and how that happened. And then the other one is called Subspace Rhapsody.
Star Trek, the musical.
The explanation I gave to Greg is because of Star Trek bullshit space science, some anomaly in space, which Star Trek ships encounter all the time, is not uncommon, random anomalies that do weird bullshit on the ship. The weird bullshit this anomaly does is force people to express their emotions very openly and through song. And Uhura has to help. Uhura, the communication linguist, musical person, has to figure out how to keep this from spreading through Starfleet via the communications network.
Subspace comm system.
Yeah, the subspace comm system. It is very silly. It puts it's for what it is. If you can shut your brain off and go, Star Trek this is a Q episode, basically. This is a silly Star Trek doing Star Trek episode. You will enjoy it. It is the most divisive episode of the show, though, because people are like, why the fuck were they singing for 45 minutes?
Well,
But
see,
other people are like, man, that was fun and silly.
So see, you've not experienced all of them, and you'll get there in time. Would you be surprised if I told you that there was a Q before John Delancey's Q?
A what?
There was a Q in an episode of the old series that was before John Delancey's Q.
Oh, no. Of course there was.
His name is Trelane.
Okay.
And it is an amazingly campy, silly episode that the Enterprise crew and Kirk, more importantly, has to deal. Much like Picard deals with Q all the time, Kirk must deal with Trelane, and it's a great episode. And in the canon of Simon and Schuster audio, that's okay. It's a reality show. What do they want? In the canon, Trelane is actually a ward of Q, John Delancey. So there's an episode, there's a thing called Q Squared, and Trelane wreaks havoc, and it's a great book. If you like audiobooks or you like physical books, you can get the paperback still. I believe it's in print. It's worth a read. So it's really weird. And then there was one that was even better. And this is also canon, Simon and Schuster. What would you say if I told you that Spock and Q had a debate?
Oh, my. That sounds very interesting.
It is. It is. I'll let you borrow it. I've got it somewhere. I've got it on MP3. I'll shoot it over to you.
Interesting.
But
I would say, I will say this because I mentioned this to Greg before we started recording. I mentioned Star Wars. I will always check out the newest Star Wars thing, even if I think I may not like it, because I would rather be pleasantly surprised than not watch something out of spite. I'd rather be proven right and go, at least I checked it out, as opposed to be that guy who's like, no, I'm never going to watch it. And people are like, dude, no, actually.
You should.
You should. Mm-hmm. For that reason, I'm glad you checked out Strange New Worlds.
Oh, dude, that was amazing.
Because who knows? You might watch the crossover episode with the Lower Decks cast, and you go,
maybe I need to check this out,
maybe
too.
I'll watch Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, so, and then let's go back to Strange New Worlds for a minute. Okay, obviously we know that there's Pike, there's Chapel. These are all ready names that the good Star Trek fan is going to know. They're going to know Spock. They're going to know Uhura. The rest of the cast is pretty well. Bleh.
I believe Strange New Worlds happens. I was just looking at this last night because I wanted to get my brain wrapped around the timeline. I believe technically it's happening just before Picard. So it is, other than Picard, the most forward and dumb time bullshit that Star Trek does in specific episodes. I'm caveating that. I think for the series timeline as a whole, it is the furthest forward other than Picard. So they are, most of the characters in that are original are original, and it's the only time.
So you mean it's the furthest, it's right before TOS?
No. It is Lower Decks.
Lower Decks. Okay.
I said Strange New Worlds. That's why you're looking at me like I'm retarded. It's fine. Lower Decks takes place is the more future end of the Star Trek timeline. So
okay.
So that's why I said last night, the Lower Decks people, all the things that it's the Star Trek show that's allowed to poke the most fun at Star Trek, because it's the ensigns looking up to the captains of the past the same way we do as fans. Right? You do, not me yet. I won't call myself a fan until I watch a little more. You do, oh, I remember the episode where Kirk did this cool thing and Picard did this cool thing and Riker did this cool thing, and Janeway was a badass. They have that in universe, which is why the show's allowed to be a little sillier.
Yeah, and Sisko's a psychopath.
And Sisko's a psychopath.
Well, no, technically be high-functioning sociopath, but nonetheless. So they've created a couple of characters.
Okay. So,
and again, if we're spoiling this for you, so sorry, get over it.
Honestly, we have scratched that. I think I said this last night too. Yes. Like something you mentioned is, Uhura doesn't look like Uhura. I'm like, that is fair. If you're looking for actors that are carbon copies of the original character actors, you're dumb. That's unrealistic. Character-wise, the actors are doing a really good job.
No, they're doing an accurate job of portraying them.
Job of portraying the original series characters in a, I want to say maybe like 5 to 10 years younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the episode 3, where they're at the Illyrian world, the Illyrian colony.
The augments, yep.
Oh, crap. I was not expecting to have my heart ripped out of my chest 3 episodes in.
So what part ripped your heart out of your chest?
The last scene with Dr. Mbenga.
Dr. Mbenga, yeah.
Yes. I mean, that was...
Why doesn't he want the chief engineer touching the medical transporter? Like, almost to the point of violence, don't touch the medical transporter.
You've also got to understand, this is the 23rd century. Medical science has gone incredibly far forward. And here we have a 10-year-old girl with an uncurable disease that's his daughter. And he can do nothing about it.
If you've made it this far... I don't know how this plot thread unravels, so I can't spoil it completely, but essentially Dr. Mbenga has a daughter who has future space cancer. I don't know what it's called. It's space name leukemia. That's literally, I think, what they call it. It's space cancer that is going to ravage her body in, like, she has, like, what, a 12-week prognosis, he says at one point?
Yep.
So in order to keep the disease from progressing, he keeps her in the pattern buffer of the Enterprise's medical transporter.
And it's funny because that breaks with canon.
I wouldn't know.
I do.
So I wouldn't know. So
now, I'm just saying, though, did that ruin it for me? Absolutely not. Because he says in the episode, did you know you could keep a pattern in here indefinitely? And every series prior to that, that is not the case. Did it ruin it? No. Oh my God, it ripped my fucking heart out to watch her beam her into a chair and read her a bedtime story.
Knowing that each time he does,
her time grows shorter.
It's 5 minutes at a time, but it's 5 minutes of a 12-week or less possibility.
It's just,
and
wow.
His whole thing is, I know that somewhere we can travel light years in seconds. Somewhere there's a planet that has what I need, and it's like, fuck, damn. And that's the thing I told Greg is. Not only are the actors hitting the character beats for their characters well, if they're characters that either originally existed or are new to this series, it's something that we talk about on the MASH podcast, is MASH was right at this weird time where it went from serialized week-to-week storytelling to, by the end of MASH, there were season-long character
arcs.
Yeah, character arcs. Like, season 4, they kind of toyed with this since, well... Season 1, there wasn't. Season 2, there really wasn't. Season 3, I think there is an underlying thing the audience didn't know was a theme for the season. For some reason in Season 3 of MASH, spoilers if you haven't seen it, Henry gets a lot of really interesting, deep character moments.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And then at the end,
they rip your
heart out. Season 4 is, again, it's not specifically told to the audience, but it's learning to adjust to Colonel Potter, and a little bit of season 5 too. Like Radar's learning to adjust to Colonel Potter. Frank's learning how to adjust to the fact he's not going to be in charge.
And Margaret's gotten married.
And well, that's season 5.
Ah.
And the camp's kind of getting used to the new dynamic of BJ and Potter, and even up into season 5, because you have literally Trapper and BJ. Wow, that's a combination that didn't exist. Hawkeye,
would have been an amazing combination.
Hawkeye and BJ literally try to pull a Trapper and Hawkeye-esque caper to It's the Nurses, where they put the quarantine soldier that's really there to see his wife in Margaret's tent, and they try to pull a fast one past Potter, and Potter's like, I've been in the army for 30 years. What the fuck are you trying to do?
Yeah.
Like, no. What?
I also think as we stray around the world really quickly, I also think that was one of the ones where they really started to give Margaret a heart.
Yes. But as MASH went on, season 5, the underlying story beat for all of season 5 was Margaret's marriage. And then 6, you had Winchester coming on board, Margaret's marriage not going so well. By the end of the show, there were maybe not season long, but there were episode arcs that told more, not deeper, but more complex stories.
Yeah.
And then now today, shows are written season by season to have a
full arc,
and then for the series have a full arc.
Yeah.
Whereas, that's not how the Andy Griffith Show worked. It was what's happening in Mayberry this Saturday, But I think with Strange New Worlds, they're taking characters that only existed in a serialized storytelling medium and are letting them have more fleshed out progressions of character. Not to say that there wasn't any character progression in the original series, but the alien that Kirk kills last week isn't going to weigh on his conscience this week.
Right.
Whereas there's more budget, more time.
But you can see in just 3 episodes, you can see how Pike's arc weighs on him in just 3 episodes. Mm-hmm. Back to MASH for a second.
Yes.
One of the things I always appreciated with MASH was their ability to pull your heart out and the next scene you're laughing your ass off. For example, and forgive me, I forget the episode name, but it's where Potter is the last surviving member of his World War II company.
Old Soldiers.
So in that, they literally drag your heart out and stomp on it. And then the very next scene before they cut to black and end the show, Potter waddles in, Klinger, take a memo. Starch is not allowed to be used on the laundry anymore, especially my shorts, and walks out. But I think they were very Shakespearean in the way they wrote those, because you have this sorrowful moment and a funny moment right after it, or the other way around.
Well, and something else we brought up last night is because, especially in the later seasons of MASH, they got a little experimental. Like you had the Lifetime, the episode shot in real time with a clock running on a serious surgery case. You had, even though it's very much one of the lesser loved episodes of MASH in the later season, you had Dreams, which is a very trippy episode that not a lot of people like because it was too...
Yeah, someone was tripping acid
with
that
one. It was
one.
too airy-fairy. You had... What are some of the... You had A Point of View, the one filmed from a wounded soldier's perspective, the entire episode.
How would you like to have been that poor cameraman with that big-ass 70s era camera sitting on your chest the whole episode?
Yeah, no thank you. But they because MASH experimented and tried to do some stuff that was different, I think that's why some of the weirder Star Trek moments, like Subspace Rhapsody, an entire musical episode of the show, or I would say the most comparable episode to MASH to Subspace Rhapsody is probably the one where it's a 1 year in one episode.
Oh, yeah.
It's so out of left field.
Where baseball features into that a lot.
Yeah. There's... Oh, I can't remember the name of that episode now. Of MASH, but essentially an entire year in the camp takes place in the course of an episode, which breaks all the continuity of the show, and we're not even going to think about talking about it ever. Don't bring up the MASH timeline. But it was so trippy and out of left field that I think it made me more willing to process things like, oh, the Enterprise crew is doing like a full Broadway stage musical on the bridge. Okay, I'm cool with this.
I think that was also what made MASH so unique, is MASH piloted a lot of stuff that we see in sitcom television today.
I'm curious. Definitely like the live clock, like, I'm not going to say it directly inspired shows like 24 that are set on a timeline like that, but maybe.
Yeah. Now, shit on my mic condom. Take that however
that's
you
a
want.
Sentence. Jesus Christ. Whatever you do, folks, do not get shit on your mic condom.
Congratulations, you broke the host. So
you broke yourself.
that one's got to go in the outtakes reel. So back to Star Trek again. Strange New Worlds. Who the fuck thought to put the most sarcastic asshole of an Andorian as the chief engineer? Dude, that was brilliant.
I fucking love him. He kind of gives off Charles Winchester vibes.
Yes, he does.
I am better, and I know I'm better because I am. Oh yeah, the Andorian.
I'm seeing a Strange New Worlds MASH crossover where we discuss Chief characters.
Himmler.
Yeah, Himmler. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You are going to love Chief Himmler.
Yeah,
more than you already do.
I think I think Dr. Umbenga too is gonna be.
Spoilers: they pair Chief Himmler up with someone in a few episodes who is. You're gonna love Chief Himmler. You're gonna really, and. Imagine episodes where they pair Klinger and not saying that the character that they pair him with is Klinger-esque. Whenever Klinger and Winchester get together and have a heart-to-heart moment,
yeah,
you're gonna love Himmler.
Can't wait.
You're gonna love Himmler very much. Yeah,
but yeah, it's amazing what they're doing with this series because they really hit exactly what I would expect, exactly what I want, and. So far, the first 3 episodes have been emotional roller coasters.
And forgive me, I'm terrible at remembering actors' names, especially for a show I've barely watched. Whoever the hell is playing Christopher Pike.
Yeah.
I think my favorite thing about him is every captain has the quirks, right? Like
we have technology for this, you realize. Keep talking, I'm going to look it up.
I don't know enough of the original series to know Kirk's kind of MO outside of being the captain. Picard's MO outside of being the captain is he is... I don't want to say he's like refined and regal. That's not the right word, but he's more reserved with his crew. He's not, he's not hanging out in 10 forward. He's not, he doesn't love, like, I think there's an episode where they have Picard Day and he's like, what the fuck is
So Christopher Pike is someone I've never heard of. His name is Anson Mount.
I don't care. I love him. He's great.
And Ethan Peck is Spock.
Honestly, they all do a fantastic job with their characters. Even some of the like ancillary background crew that pop on camera every once in a while, they do an excellent job. But no, the thing they gave Christopher Pike is he loves to cook. Not replicate. Yeah. He loves to cook.
Oh, who does that remind you of, folks? Star Trek fans? Who's that? Sisko.
But literally, his captain's quarters is basically a studio bedroom with a full kitchen, like a full restaurant kitchen.
His quarters are amazing.
I love his quarters so much.
Speaking of, this actor died early this year, but I was watching an episode of Law and Order earlier, yesterday before I came up here to hang out with you. And who did I see? A young David McCullum.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Ducky.
Yeah.
I want the captain's quarters, though. I mean, shit, that's the most opulent set of quarters I've ever seen for any... I've seen admirals with less opulent quarters than Pikes. And that house in Bear Creek, Montana.
Yeah.
And that black stallion he's riding in that opening scene.
That opening scene of the pilot did take me by surprise because I'm like, this is the most un-Star Trek looking Star Trek.
Well,
for like a half second, I'm like, oh, that's just a normal Earth house.
Yeah.
I'm not used to seeing normal Earth house with doors in Star Trek. Okay, another flashback to random TNG episode I saw. I mentioned to Greg last night there were like 3 or 4 TNG episodes that really stuck with me. The pilot I thought was, for what it was really good. For the rest, based on the rest of TNG, it's a little rough in spots, but for a pilot, I thought it was great. Measure of a Man, obviously excellent.
My favorite episode really is.
Another one that popped in my head just now is and it's going to be gone again now. Shit. Fuck, it's gone. Fistful of Datas is also always good. Which just the title of that one, A Fistful of Datas, is great. But then there was the one that you mentioned to me after I talked about it is very divisive among fans, and I find that strange because I thought it was I was confused while it was happening, but once it wrapped up, I was like, holy shit, that might be my favorite episode of Star Trek. I don't remember the name, but it's the episode in TNG where Picard is hit with a beam from a probe and lives an entire man's life on an alien planet way in the past that was cooked by its own sun, and their way of preserving their culture was sending this probe out. Phenomenal episode.
Looking that up, bear with me.
Phenomenal episode. The entire time my buddy was showing it to me, I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Does Picard just live on this planet now? And then it wraps up.
The Inner Light.
The Inner Light.
Season 5, episode 25.
Fan-fucking-tastic episode.
And it is one of those where you either love it or you hate it. And it's wrong because... And then we were talking about its subsequent episode, which happens the next season, where Picard actually plays the flute, and it's one of the best melodic pieces in the series, with he and the other captain playing the piano in some Jeffries tube somewhere on the ship. And what's really cool about it is the music is bouncing through the Jeffries tubes, and you actually have Geordi standing there in engineering hearing it, and he steps into the Jeffries tube man door, or the man trap for Jeffries tube, and he can hear it. It was so well done.
Fuck, that episode I thought of just escaped me again, and I can't remember what fucking episode it was.
Well, interrupt me next time.
I interrupted myself. That's the problem. Fuck, it'll come back to me. But
yeah.
Drumhead was another one.
Great episode.
The McCarthyism episode.
Yes.
The someone sabotaged to now all of a sudden the entire enterprise, everyone's suspect, and it's like, bitch, calm down.
With Fleet Admiral Nora Santee.
Yeah.
And that was a great episode. Great actress, too.
This isn't the one I was thinking, but another episode that I really liked was there was an episode where Spock's father came aboard the Enterprise to conduct a summit or a
That's
negotiation.
Sarek. Literally,
Sarek.
the name of the episode is Sarek.
And it's when he has a Vulcan, it's basically Vulcan dementia.
Bendai syndrome.
Yeah, where he now is experiencing emotions.
And he has to mind meld with Picard.
He has to mind meld with Picard. I don't know why that episode also was like, damn,
Can I spoil something? Can I spoil something for you?
Sure.
So you go into season, I believe it's the end of season 6, beginning of season 7. It's a 2-part episode called Unification. Spock and Picard are on Romulus, believe it or not. And Spock said, you have a gift that I never thought I would get. My father and I never chose to mind meld. And Picard literally says to Spock, you need to, meld with me to see what I saw from your father. It was again, wow. It's just Star Trek really wanting to give you that emotional ride. It was great. And to see Picard done up like a Romulan. And he can't stomach the plummox soup.
No plummox soup.
No. I have a recipe for it. I should make it for the podcast one day.
Jesus Christ.
I have the entire... this is how nerd I am.
Do you want Scott and Larry? Well, hang on. If you're going to talk about cookbooks...
This is how nerd I am. I know you have the MASH cookbook that Igor wrote. James Maxwell?
Jeff Maxwell.
I have the Star Trek cookbook written by Ethan Phillips, who played Neelix in Voyager.
Dude, I kind of love that. I kind of love both those guys for doing that.
And then we were talking about Voyager's decisive characters. The Doctor.
I love the Doctor.
He's such a great
the
character.
EMH hologram. I love him, or the EMH, the emergency medical hologram.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine an episode with he and Himmler?
Sweet Jesus, dude. See, now there's a game Jared and I would play. Build your perfect Star Trek Enterprise crew. Which Enterprise? Who's captain? Who's chief engineer? Who's head of security? Yeah, I can't do this with MASH because there's only 2 commanding officers and like 4 surgeons. It's not.
So
there's not enough variety.
All right.
So which Enterprise? Do you go with the most modern or do you go with the OG? Something in the middle? Voyager?
No.
No. Okay. There you go.
The Enterprise E, the Sovereign class, because I haven't seen the end of Picard where they bring out the Enterprise F.
Forgive me. Put that in show terms. Which shows Enterprise?
Sovereign comes out after. It's not in any of the episodes. The Sovereign class comes out in Star Trek Generations. They destroy the Enterprise D.
Okay.
And then
so it's the next one.
It's the movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know which I can conceptualize which Enterprise.
Sovereign class.
Okay. Now I'm going to make you do the hard one. Who's your captain?
Pike.
Really?
Really.
Pike because of prior knowledge or because you have had a paradigm shift in the last 24 hours?
Paradigm shift.
Oh, shit. What have I done? I'm sorry, Patrick Stewart.
Sorry, Patrick. You're out. Bye.
Interesting. Okay.
Security.
No. We're going in order. First officer.
First officer.
Are you going? Do you take his Una Chin Riley or do you pair him with a different one?
Chakotay.
That would be a interesting match. Okay. So Enterprise E or
Enterprise E, Sovereign
Enterprise
class.
E. Captain Pike, First Officer Chakotay.
Yep. Data.
Data was a science
Data would
officer?
be the ops. Yeah, science officer.
And
ops.
Okay.
Helmsman. I'm going to step back to season 1 of Next Generation. It would be LaForge.
Okay. Helmsman LaForge. Okay.
Security. Odo.
Honestly, I don't think there's a single bad security person.
Yes, there is.
Who?
Tasha Yar.
She dies.
I know.
She doesn't.
I know. She doesn't last one season.
She bangs Data and dies. That's all she knows.
Pretty much.
She's known for.
And she's freaking useless.
Okay, there's
She
one
even
bad
allows one set of ambassadors to kill another and eat them.
She deserved to die. I'll be honest. I don't know that I've seen the episode where she dies. I just know that she does because I had to for context for other episodes. But other than Tasha, I forgot about Tasha. I don't think there's a bad. Worf would be great as a security person.
Yes.
Otto.
No. Scratch that. As much as I love Odo, Tuvok from Voyager.
Tuvok is a good head of security, and Lan Noonien Singh is
a
scary head of security.
She's a scary, badass head of security.
She's like, if the worst can happen, it will, and we will be prepared for it.
Yeah.
That's her motto.
And then we have the best one, Chief Engineer.
Ooh. I feel like you can choose a chief and like 2 assistants.
Okay.
I feel like there's enough engineer variety to do that.
All right. I'm gonna really corner the market on this one. For the sheer entertainment value, O'Brien and Himmler.
Fuck. Fuck. Your ship will never operate properly.
And then we have something that's even worse.
Okay.
Chief Medical Officer. Because
it's got to be the EMH.
No. Pulaski. Pulaski. So Gates McFadden didn't crush her for season 1. In season 2, she didn't renew her contract, so they brought in Dr. Pulaski, who was a carbon copy but female of Dr. McCoy.
Okay.
Then in season 3, it was such a freaking flop with the chief medical officer with Pulaski. I happen to love her character, just me.
They threw Beverly Crusher's actress whatever money she wanted.
You're goddamn right, and brought her back. And then there's an ancillary character that I would like to add just for the sheer entertainment value of it.
Who are you bringing aboard?
I want a tailor on my vessel. I want Garrick.
Why do you need a tailor on your starship?
Because I want a member of the Obsidian Order.
Fair. Okay.
From Cardassia. Garrick is
you want a sassy bitch. That's what you want.
Yes, I do. Garrick is such an underrated character in DS9. He is one of the most well-developed arcs for an ancillary character ever, in my opinion. The only one that tops Garrick is Quark. And I would take Quark over Guinan any day of the week.
I was about to say, who's running your 10 forward? Is
Quark.
it Quark? You got
I'd
Quark,
put up
Guinan,
with I would put up with
Neelix?
all Quark's bullshit just to see that.
Yeah, who's your food and morale? So it'll be Quark?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Because Neelix, I would shove him out an airlock after about, 2 or 3 light years.
Well, I was going to ask you, who's your ship's, what the fuck is the Betazoid's job?
Counselor?
Who's the ship's counselor?
Okay, so I have to go to...
I feel like you could, because technically Chakotay is both first officer and ship's counselor in Voyager.
Technically, yes.
So I feel like you could either have someone pull double duty, or you could say, "Hey, Picard, come out of retirement and be my ship's counselor." Which I don't think you should do. Don't make Picard be your ship's counselor.
So Troy, in my opinion, has always been a plot device. The character really didn't amount to anything and wasn't very useful except in certain times.
She could fix the plot hole where, how do we move the plot along? Oh, the Betazoid senses something.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
Which
that's very
sometimes you
difficult.
really need.
Actually, you know who I would pick? Ezri Dax.
Okay.
She is a ship's counselor. And I liked the way that, Terry Farrell's contract ended and they were like, oh, fuck, now what do we do? And they created a character, and I really didn't like her in the beginning. But after I rewatched the series a couple of times, I'm like, really, this character's well developed. And, it's just like Uhura is in Strange New Worlds. She's thrown into a situation and has to find her footing and find her power.
Oh, okay. Who's your comms? I feel like it's
comms
it's
only existed. Pardon me a minute. Are you serious right now?
Just say the Enterprise E has comms, so you can put Uhura on the ship. We get it. Jesus Christ.
Thank you. So, comms only existed in the 23rd century. Comms were handled by the security officer in every Starfleet ship going forward. So there is no comms person anymore. Can
we just hire Uhura anyway?
It depends. I'd rather hire Zoe, what's her name, from the other one because she's cute.
No Spock.
Data is superior to Spock.
Data is superior to Spock. You know what? Fair.
Data is superior to Spock only because
Brent Spiner's a genius.
Yes. Data's character is far superior to Spock because it was more believable.
Now, okay, I could build a crew, but I don't know enough of the lore and characters to really be interesting.
It's not a matter of the lore of the characters. Who would you put?
Fuck, I'm in a Strange New Worlds headspace, so I want to say Pike.
Okay. Well, first of all, which Enterprise?
Honestly, TNG. Something about the
D?
Yeah, the D. Something about the aesthetic they made for that Enterprise I really like.
The Galaxy class.
The Galaxy, yeah. The 70s living room bridge is very much a
That's a
vibe.
good way to put it.
It's so nice. All it's missing is like the shag well with the couch and the domed fire
And the hanging oil lamp.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Enterprise D. I don't know Kirk well enough. I like Picard, but I feel like if you get him on a bad day, it's like, oh, fuck, Picard's in a mood.
Mm-hmm.
Sisko's a sociopath. No, thank you. I feel like Pike, and I know I'm biased because I'm currently watching Strange New Worlds, but he has.
And you notice, folks, Janeway never gets mentioned.
And I don't. Oh no, this happened in the second episode. He has the captain's table dinners with the ensigns. He seems a much more down to earth captain than the ones I've seen. Janeway probably would be a fine captain, but I've only ever seen her in the whole Delta Quadrant fiasco, and she's a bit of a fucking 8-ball sometimes. So I feel like Christopher Pike is the most likely to keep me alive.
Okay.
Most likely, not guaranteed. First officer.
Depends on what color your shirt is, my friend, if you're red or yellow.
Oh, I'm a civilian. I'm just there. I'm one of those people that book cruises for the rest of their life because it's cheaper than a retirement home. I'm just booking cruises. I'm just booking passage on the Enterprise till I die because it's cheaper than Earth rent. Yes, I know money's not a thing. Get over it. A first officer. I feel like I can't choose Chakotay. I feel like I have to. I don't want to choose Chakotay. Who was first officer in the original series?
Spock.
Spock. Oh, Spock was first.
Yes. Number 1 is only there for the original pilot that was not the pilot. But anyway, it's Spock.
Spock is first officer with
Yes.
Pike.
Spock does the dual role of first officer and science officer.
Holy shit. I have the opportunity to have Data and Spock on the same ship, and that would be chaos.
No, I don't think it would. Because they interact, and believe it or not, they think a lot alike. They interact in the unification program.
Who do I want as first officer? Fuck. This was harder than I thought. Does Sisko have a first officer? But I guess
Major Kira.
Major Kira. Oh, no, not Major Kira for Pike.
You can also choose Worf. You can also choose Dax, Jadzia Dax, because you have to remember.
I'll be honest, I almost went Captain Picard, first officer Pike.
Ooh.
That would be weird.
That would be very weird.
That's a weird dynamic. That's why I went with Pike as my first officer. I think Pike first officer. I think I'm gonna upgrade Spock to first officer. Okay. I think that would be interesting. And again, biased because Strange New Worlds. And I'm specifically picturing Strange New Worlds Spock because that's sadly the Spock I'm most familiar with currently. Don't hate me. Where did we go next?
Ops Science.
Ops Science.
That was Dax and DS9.
Dax and DS9. Was Spock.
It was Harry Kim in Voyager, which would know. The
No.
only ensign in Starfleet to go 7 series and not get promoted.
Justice for Harry Kim. Hashtag justice for Kim. No. I mean, Data's the best it's Data, right?
Oh, yeah.
The answer's Data.
God,
Data,
could you imagine
Data,
the logical arguments you would have?
Between the first op.
Uh-huh.
I don't know that Pike would choose those two, but I'm choosing those two.
All right, Helmsman.
Ortega's kind of has a vibe that I like.
Uh-huh.
She's like, literally, I think at one point, Captain Pike says, you did say on your exit exam that you wanted to be, quote, the best pilot in Starfleet, right? Prove it. And she does some crazy badass shit.
Yeah, she does.
I kind of like Ortega's vibe from Strange New Worlds. My other option is what? Wesley fucking Crusher.
Yes. Why do you think I went with LaForge from season 1? Because I can't stomach Wesley. Wesley should have been shoved out an airlock and never seen again. Into the sun. Yes, I hate Wesley that much.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go with Ortega's.
Okay. Security.
Is it sad? Is it bad that I want to see Spock, Data, and Worf have an argument with each other? Worf would fucking hate hanging out with Data and Spock. I mean, Worf is probably my best choice right now. I love Worf. I love the Klingon. I love that Worf is both. Worf is to TNG in my mind how Spock is in Strange New Worlds, where Spock is dealing with his Vulcanness. I like that through TNG you see Worf deal with the Klingonness. Like he is Klingon. He respects where he comes from, but he also believes in what Starfleet does.
Yes.
And I love that juxtaposition. So I like Worf.
Okay.
I very much like Worf. Also, him dressed as a fucking sheriff in Fistful of Datas is great.
Wait till you see him dressed as a merry man.
We watched that episode. Yeah. Too. Yeah. I am nobody's merry man. God bless him.
Chief Medical Officer.
I feel like I'm going to get a mulligan and say the emergency hologram is there always.
Is she? Yes, he is always there.
I can turn him on when I want to see him. So that leaves me with Crusher,
It leaves you with
McCoy.
McCoy, Crusher, Pulaski, Dr. Bashir, EMH,
I like Dr.
and
Bashir.
Dr. Amenga.
Oh, fuck, Doctor. Can we have, hang on, Dr. Mbenga assisted by Bashir?
Okay.
I like that because he has Nurse Chapel in the show. Mbenga has Nurse Chapel. They always have assistants. Can we get Bashir as the assistant to Mbenga?
It's your crew. You can do whatever you want.
I like that.
All right. Chief Engineer.
Also, Uhura just lives on the bridge because Uhura's fantastic.
Okay.
I don't need a comms officer. I want a comms officer. Uhura's on the bridge.
It's your crew. Chief Engineer.
Chief Engineer. I think I'm gonna stick with the TNG's
Geordie LaForge.
LaForge and frickin' the Irish asshole.
Scotty.
Let LaForge no, the other Irish asshole.
Irish. O'Brien.
O'Brien. Yeah.
Okay. Believe it or not, O'Brien was the transporter chief in Next Generation.
Okay, he can be my transporter chief.
Okay.
Okay, transport because I transporter engineering, they all make the ship.
They're all the same thing. Yeah, they make the ship do shit.
Let Jordy and
O'Brien go for it.
There's McCoy, O'Brien, Scotty. Like, there's too many people from those islands on that ship, frankly. Yeah, let them hang out. They're fun. They're always fun to goof off. Who's running my crew rest and relaxation? I mean, Quark's great. I feel like Guinan could turn my insides outside. She's like that's the thing I love about Guinan is that it's alluded that she's like this crazy powerful otherworldly alien being, but she's just running a bar on the Enterprise. I do kind of love the idea of my barkeep being able to throw down if shit went really, really fucking crazy. Wait, hang on. I'm about to throw a wild curveball. Was there not an episode where Q gave up his Q-ness to serve on the Enterprise briefly?
He did not give it up. He was forced into being a human being by the Continuum. But yes, you're absolutely right. And that's the episode where she throws down and he goes, Q literally says, why would you have this dangerous creature on board instead of me?
And
that's where Guinan's doing her.
So I'm gonna let 10 forward be renamed to Q's Corner, and Q's gonna be my bartender.
Oh Christ Almighty!
Just for the fucking chaos. Either that or he's my ship's counselor.
Q's Corner. That's a hell of a bar.
And the theme changes every night because you can just
yeah. Tonight's disco night.
Yes. It's Picard Day every day at Q's Corner. Oh shit. And you know what? Chakotay is my ship's counselor. There we go.
Okay.
I wish, and I didn't see enough of Voyager to know. I wish that they did a little bit because he was Native American, right?
Correct.
I would love to know if they. I don't want to say did anything with that. Like
they did. They brought his spirituality. The Native American tradition of spirituality was a recurring theme with Chakotay through Voyager.
I love that. I love that. I love to think that even that far into the future, that stuff carried on.
It did.
I love that idea.
In fact, there's an episode where you see Wesley Crusher depart the series. Thank the fucking gods.
Say the two white guys. You know.
No, it's the episode where Wesley Crusher departs the series. It is literally Picard having to relocate a group of Native Americans that have made this planet their home because it's in Cardassian territory.
Oh.
And the premise episode ends where Picard negotiates with the Cardassians to where they can stay there. And they basically give up being part of the Federation to stay on this planet. And it was a very nice, very well done episode. That's where we see Vec, Gully Vec. Now, in all of the Star Trek lore that you've watched, who would be the villain you would least like to come up against?
I feel like the immediate go-to answer is the Borg. The Borg are the concept of the Borg when I first I knew the word Borg.
Right.
Yeah, after, because it's Q zaps them forward and they meet the Borg and they get that first encounter, and then the whole Wolf 359 stuff and Locutus happens.
Yes.
The concept of the Borg is fucking terrifying.
Isn't it, though?
Holy shit. The Borg are terrifying.
There is a species that's worse.
Of course there is, because it's Star Trek.
It's in Voyager, and the Borg are in fear of species 8472.
That's right, 8472. Yeah.
Now, here's another question for you.
I mean,
If, let's say you cannot name this ship the Enterprise, it is the USS what?
so one of my favorite things about Star Trek is they have cool little references to historic naval ships from different countries. I believe one of the recurring ships that the Enterprise runs into is the Potemkin.
Yes.
I love that.
And the other one that's recurring is the Yorktown.
The Yorktown. I love, as a World War II and military history guy, I love that Starfleet kept like the naming traditions of the various nations of the world. That's so fucking cool to me.
So yours would be the USS?
There's so many I could choose from.
Mm-hmm. You only get to pick one.
Because of the personal attachment,
I know exactly what
I
you're
would
going to
absolutely command the USS Arizona.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Now mine's...
And in my office would be a piece of steel from the hull of the ship.
Now mine is also a famous ship that sunk, and it's not the one you're thinking of.
It's not the one I'm thinking of. Okay.
It's not the one you're thinking of.
Okay.
It is not a ship that went down in 1912.
That narrows it down.
This ship actually went down, if I'm remembering correctly, in 1910.
Passenger or military? Well, it would have
Passenger
to be
liner.
passenger. It's too early to be the Lusitania.
Nope. It is the Lusitania. Is 1910, am I getting the date wrong, or is it 1914?
You're getting the date very wrong, because it was the sinking of the Lusitania that
started
helped push America into the First World War.
Okay, so then it was 1914.
It may have been late. It may have been 1915 or
But I would call mine the Lusitania.
Lusitania. Now,
and I know there's
the Enterprise is not a military faction, technically. They do a lot of military-esque shit.
Yes.
We're just here to discover. Set phasers to kill. But I guess you don't technically have to name it after a military or civilian vessel. You can name whatever you want. I mean, there was
correct.
One of them. I know some of the civilian ships are like the SS Puget Sound.
Well, look at the Defiant.
I love the names of the shuttles.
And then
the Galileo. The Galileo was the name of the
Galileo is the one that stands tradition most of the time. And then there's Sisko naming the runabouts in DS9, and he likes to name them after rivers. So you've got the Rubicon. You've got the Yangtze Keon. Why am I blanking on the others? But that's what they do for DS9. That would be your crew would be chaos in motion.
Yeah, but I feel like they could also get shit done when the fire hits the pan. But okay, so yeah, I think I have to stick first encounter with the Borg, absolutely. Even after you know what the Borg are and kind of how to fight them, they're still kind of fucking.
They're still scary as shit.
I think the Borg are absolutely probably might not want to face enemy, because the Romulans and the Klingons are just another military faction. My odds of dying are pretty equal either way. The Borg, it's not death, it's worse. Because that's the thing. I don't recall. Are you consciously? I guess you're not consciously aware that you are Borg. You just are Borg.
Locutus was consciously aware. Most Borg are not. They're drones.
And you know what? I think,
and that's why they call them drones.
I think the real scary part about being Borg isn't the fact that you become Borg. It's if you unbecome Borg and you have the Picard-esque PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the part that scares me, honestly.
Yeah.
But okay, so of your knowledge of Star Trek, you leave Starfleet Academy and time is not a factor. Which Enterprise would you want to serve on? I feel like you're going to die if you go with Kirk.
Depends on what color your shirt is. I mean, that's the running gag. It always is.
Or if you could get poofed into the Delta, I doubt you're going to want to get poofed into the Delta Quadrant.
Oh, hell no. It would probably be Enterprise D.
Yeah.
The Galaxy class, because that ship, they spent 7 seasons on it, 2 movies on it, or was it 1 movie?
It's the most ubiquitous.
It's the most ubiquitous, but I also think there was a ship.
I'm gonna refine my question, because you're giving me a different answer than what I was looking for. Specifically, which captain would you serve under, ignoring the ship? Assume that they could take out the D, since that's the ship you prefer.
I think that's a coin toss.
Okay.
And I only have seen 3 episodes, but I like the current Pike in Strange New Worlds. I also like Picard. I feel both of those captains have the ability to care enough about their crew
to not do some stupid shit.
Not kill them if possible. Kirk's far too reckless. Sisko, though cares deeply, must get the mission done. And Janeway got fucked off into the middle of the Delta Quadrant and lost a third of her crew getting home.
The fact that she only lost a third is impressive to me.
Mm-hmm.
That is insane. I think that's why again, going back to the I'm willing to give.
Hang on a minute. There is an episode in Voyager. I will get the name. You need to watch it if you haven't already.
Hit me with the premise. I may.
It deals with a crew member murdering another.
Oh shit! Because that absolutely would have happened at some point.
It did happen. They did an entire episode upon it.
No, but in like.
And the character
reality,
was creepy as shit.
In reality, yes, absolutely, a crew member is eventually going to get either pissed off or stressed or cabin fever and kill someone. No, that's the fact that they did. That's fucking cool. I love that.
Yeah, it was the actor played it so creepy. I mean, it was Silence of the Lambs level creepy.
Oh shit! Maybe I did. Again, my watching of these episodes of the various Star Trek shows happened at like midnight to 1 o'clock in the morning over the course of the last up until about 8 months ago, and then the year and a half previous to that. So I may have seen that episode.
Okay.
I don't recall it. Like, man, again.
The problem for you is your knowledge is somewhat limited.
My knowledge is somewhat limited, but I agree. From what little I know, Kirk would get me killed.
Yep. Especially if you're a red shirt. Oh, look, Anthony's beaming down to a away mission. Goodbye, friend.
I don't dislike the concept of Captain Janeway, but not if I'm stuck in the Delta Quadrant. I dig Picard. Yeah.
Now you're left with Pike or Sisko.
Man, Pike cooks ribs. Pike has a full fucking kitchen in his cabin, and at least once a month I'm going to get to go to the captain's table dinner. Or maybe not once every 2 months. I don't know how big a fucking Enterprise
is.
Well,
we're also forgetting about Archer from Enterprise, and he does the same thing. He has every night it's captain's table dinner.
There's a reason we forgot about Archer. Fuck it.
Too true.
Fuck it. I want to shoot myself into the fucking stratosphere with the half in the bag Zephram Cochrane. Let's go. Fucking drunk ass loser. Congratulations on the warp engine, though, I guess.
Do you want holodecks on your vessel?
Fuck me. Holodecks are both fascinating and terrifying. I feel like there absolutely can be a full TV show called, Star Trek SVU, where it's just in Starfleet. They're the officers who investigate crimes, and the district attorneys. Like, there are some absolute...
And the judge advocate generals.
There are petabytes of holodeck porn in some crew members' personal files.
Oh, yes.
You know this. But, I don't know what fucking...
You do know they deal with holodiction in one of the episodes of Next Generation, right?
I believe so.
Yes.
It sounds familiar, but it's fuck, dude. Because you know what you know how Janeway goes and hangs out with fucking Galileo to,
Da Vinci.
Or not, yeah, sorry. I said Galileo earlier. It was on my brain. Da Vinci. And isn't there one where she has like a cabal of like famous heads that she's talking to? It's like Da Vinci, Einstein.
That's Data.
Oh, that's no, that's
He
Data.
has a
You're
poker
right,
game with Einstein, Stephen Hawking, which was actually Stephen Hawking.
Yeah.
That was so cool. And then a couple others, Isaac Newton and himself. Great episode.
But
no, Janeway falls in love with a character. The episode is called Fairhaven, where they've got a holodeck simulation of an Irish village, and Janeway actually starts to fall in love with a holodeck character.
Because you know what my holodeck captain's think tank is going to be? The swamp.
The swamp.
Yeah. Just sitting in there and, Potter can walk in and work out my problem with me, and I go, oh, shit, cool, thanks. Computer and simulation.
So, and I know you haven't watched all these, but in terms of like the original series movies, you had the first one, which was god-awful, the motion picture.
Okay.
Then you had the best, in my opinion, The Wrath of Khan.
Okay.
Star Trek III, The Search for Spock. If you don't know, at the end of Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, Spock kicks the bucket.
Oh, no.
Gets regenerated, blah, blah, blah. They go find him again. And where does he put his Katra? What freaking poor sap gets Spock's Katra? McCoy.
Oh, no.
Gotta watch it. It's corny. Then we have episode number 4, movie number 4, The Voyage Home, which was directed by Leonard Nimoy. Forgive me, Leonard. May you rest in peace. What the fuck were you thinking? Season 5, which was They Find God. That was directed by Shatner. Again, no disrespect.
Of course, Shatner directs the one
the
where They Find God.
And then my second favorite is The Undiscovered Country. It's movie 6.
The only Star Trek movie I've seen is First Contact.
Great episode.
I really
Great
liked
movie.
First Contact. And it was after watching a bunch of the TNG episodes, so I had kind of the vibe of the characters.
But so First Contact, you've seen the Enterprise E, because that's the first series of the Sovereign class.
I figured that was the
So Generations is the one before that, and that's where Picard and Kirk meet.
Oh.
Can you believe we've been going for almost 90 minutes now?
Hey. Wake up.
Hello.
Are you there?
I don't know. I think this will probably end up going in the can like, oh, we don't know what to put out. Put out Greg and Anthony talking about Star Trek for an hour and a half.
Put it out as a bonus. The fuck?
Yeah, why not?
Could have been worse. You could have got me talking about MASH for 90 minutes.
I listen to that every other week.
Well, there you go.
And I enjoy it.
There you go.
I suggest you all check it out. It's the Best Care Anywhere podcast, available where all fine podcasts are produced.
The downside of we're currently in season 3, which if you know MASH, the end of season 3 is probably the one of the magnum opus moments of the show. I don't think
fire.
Oh, yes. For anyone who is uncultured.
Thank you.
There are favorite episodes and critically acclaimed episodes or pieces of an artist's work. The magnum opus of an artist's work is the one that is most influential to their style or legacy. So, for example, one of my favorite episodes is 5 O'Clock Charlie.
Great episode. I guessed it on that one.
But the magnum opus episode would be something like Sometimes You Hear the Bullet. It may not be your favorite, but for what MASH is trying to do, it is important. Abyssinia Henry is absolutely one of those magnum opus episodes. It's not necessarily my favorite episode from a plot standpoint. It's a little camp in the bad way in the beginning half. And that moment only happens in the last literal 10 seconds of screen time. But because they put it at the end of a very campy front bit, and it's the last 10 seconds of the season, it's perfect.
I think they had to do it that way because if they didn't, it would not have the bombshell drop that it did.
Mm-hmm. But the interesting thing is, unfortunately, my co-host Ethan knows that the ultimate outcome of season 3 is that Henry Blake dies. That is something that I could not keep secret. It is too much in the cultural zeitgeist that he figured it out, or heard it, or probably knew it beforehand and forgot.
But he might not know how it's delivered.
He has absolutely no idea how we get there.
And I think the delivery was why it is so both beloved and hated.
And on the off chance we do release this and Ethan does listen to it, I will say this very carefully. There is something Ethan does not know that happens at some point in the series. There's a lot of things Ethan doesn't know happen, but specifically something that is a similar kind of the audience didn't know was going to happen until it happened.
May I ask a question real quick? Does Ethan listen to this show?
Sometimes.
Okay. So we got to be careful.
We do. Ethan is a big fan of Trapper John. He is aware that Trapper will leave the show eventually because I've alluded to it. And he's kind of picked up.
How can you not, though?
Yeah. He has no idea when that happens. And I'm not going to tell him.
Yeah, that's the hard part because I know exactly what you're talking about.
Let me put it this way. There is a 3-month, 4-month period for recording our podcast that is going to be nonstop what the fuck moments for Ethan.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to say when that is. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
What else? Since we don't know if we're going to put this out, I'm just going to muse on MASH for a moment.
By all means.
So we talked last night.
Well, hang on.
Yes.
We should probably tell these people how we scared some of the patrons one night. And this was COVID. It's COVID time, wasn't it?
Yes. It's because it was when I was employed here.
Yeah.
So one of the things I possess is an old, I don't know if it's Mattel. It's not Hasbro.
No.
It's back when they would release, board games or trivia games based off specific properties, not Trivial Pursuit X version.
But it's Trivial Pursuit-esque.
Yeah, it's Trivial Pursuit-like, but it isn't Trivial Pursuit MASH edition. It's just MASH Trivia, or the MASH Trivia game. It's just a generic thing. I brought that in one night just for shits and giggles after the shop closed between me and Greg, and one of the other patrons, Roger, was sitting here.
And Craig was here, too. Don't forget that.
And Craig was here. And Roger and Craig could keep up a little. Craig, I don't think as much. Roger could keep up a little bit. I am not ashamed to say that I was correcting the way questions were written.
Yes, you and I both were going, that's the right answer, but that's the wrong way the question should be delivered.
Yeah. Well, the correct answer is this, but the question should be asking what season 3 episode, not what season 4 episode. Like shit like that.
Yeah, we're scary when it comes to that.
Yeah, it's no bueno.
And then eventually, once you get through your Star Trek divestiture,
we'll have to do the Star Trek one.
I have a set.
That comes in the little plastic Enterprise.
Yes, it comes in the little Galileo shuttle.
Oh, no.
Yes. Well, I think we definitely have enough audio to figure out if this works or not.
Oh, yeah. And if it isn't absolutely ear rapey, we have more than enough we probably have a full bonus episode of Star Trek talk and another 2 or 3 little 5-minute random tangents.
Yes, we do.
Fun times.
So on that note, I'm not going to roll the outro music because I don't remember all what he says, but actually, what the hell, why not? Let's roll the outro.
You just saved yourself from me putting whatever fucking music I wanted there, so congratulations.
Anthony, thank you. I know this is a test, but it actually turned out to be a hell of a lot of fun. So, as Scott would say, check us out on LewisCigarCartel.com. Like and share us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. Make sure you hit the like, share, and the little bell button on YouTube so you know when we post. I'm Greg Perry on behalf of Gorilla and myself. Take care. Thanks for listening. We hope we didn't cause you too much distress, and let us know what you think. The email is info@LoomisCigarCartel.com. Please be advised, if you send us an email, we will read it on the air. Good night, guys. Take care.
Watch Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, definitely do. Let us know what you think. Take care, guys.